What is going on, guys? Joey Frenzel here with Flex Training Systems, and today we're going to be talking about training split, multiple different aspects of the training split. And if you guys like this video, I would like to do a part two where I give you guys some potential training splits, just very broad, general, um, basic splits to try and some things you can look at. But yeah, we'll see how this video does. Last video did pretty good. I know what you guys want. Everybody wants the keys, right? So, yeah. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, there's a lot of different aspects to a training split, a lot of different things to understand. Um, I have a list of notes here that I'm just gonna briefly go through, and that will spark conversation in my head. So, first question I have is how important is a training split? And to be honest, I think a lot of people take this for granted. The training split is very important. It is super important. It is essentially the spacing between the training days. If you're a bodybuilder, then it's the spacing between your muscle groups, how often you're hitting, that specific lift or muscle group in a day, or sorry, in a week. And how this is set up is going to uh, for some dramatically, for others not so much, affect recovery. I'm gonna kind of go through some stuff, and we'll talk about who can get away with kind of moving some things around, and who can't. But at the end of the day, I'll just tell you right now, you're gonna do a lot better if you can keep your split kind of stacked, keep your split the same. This builds consistency. This makes it a lot easier to track variables, and then you can create reasonable expectations for what you need and what you want from each day in that split. Um, a training split should be it should facilitate and accommodate the overall goal of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Whether you're trying to slow roll some progress, maintain, push really hard, kind of deload without having to deload, so to speak. I'll kind of explain what I mean with that. Um, but yeah, you should all your training splits should have something in mind. It should sort of embody, the purpose of the training block, the purpose of whatever you're trying to accomplish. I mean, there are some training splits that have everything they need in them to the point where you could run that split literally forever. You could run that split forever and just adjust things daily, and you're gonna pretty much accomplish all the goals that you need to accomplish. Um, just by turning, you're not changing the days, but you're just turning the knobs on the intensity on those days. For example, let's say I'm training 6 days a week, Monday through Sunday, right? Sorry, Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week, hitting it hard. And I do that leading into a competition. And then after that competition, I kind of, I still want to give a good amount of effort each day, but I don't want to necessarily be in the gym 6 days a week. I do have a split where it's kind of like you're training one day on, one day off, and you're alternating between upper and lower. I have used this split in the past, and it has made me feel very fresh, extremely fresh. You always feel pretty much more rested than you need to be coming into every session, and you can pretty much always put up decent weights. All your little pains and aches just heal. Because let's say I bench on a Monday, then I take a day off. Then Tuesday I'm hitting some sort of, or sorry, Wednesday I'm hitting some sort of lower. Then I'm taking Thursday off, and I'm benching again on Friday. So I'm literally going, those 3 days in between upper, and then it's the same thing with lower. Um, I really like this split if I just competed. If I have someone that's dealing with an injury and they need to, you know, kind of they still want to train, but we need more distance between the days so that something doesn't get pissed off. I like splits for that purpose. But that is an example of, not only like completely changing your split, but you're not now, on that second option, you're not necessarily going by how many days in a week you're training. You're just going by like time that has passed, and based on how much time has passed, you're going to be hitting a specific lift. It will not fall into a week. It can be complicated. Typically what I do is I just take a month and I'll be like, okay, these are the training days for the month. Like you're hitting all these during each in this month, this is how many days you're going to fit in, and then you're just counting the days and you're just hitting the one. It's like an order, right? You're just looking at the lifts on the day that's a training day. It's a little bit more complicated, but that is one example. You can also you can also just train 3 days a week if you want to keep it simple to accomplish something similar. Maybe not take so much time in between certain lifts. That way. But yeah, it's very important to understand what am I trying to accomplish with each split. Some people they just simply don't need to be in the gym 6 days a week. Despite training for enjoyment, you just don't need it. So you got to kind of understand that. Other people they need to be. I mean, if there are more days in the week, then then it would probably it could probably benefit them just for the amount of frequency that they need. I don't even know if that made sense, but moving to the next point here. What happens if you adjust your split? So, let's say you get used to training, like I said, that's 6 days a week, right? And something comes up, and instead of hitting your deadlift day when you typically would on a Wednesday, you have to move that deadlift day, either forward or back. It's very important to understand that when you mess with the split that you've been adjusted to, let's say it's been a month, 6 weeks, whatever, you're kind of very used to the split. That is going to affect recovery either positively or negatively, depending. Typically, if you're trending lower Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you move a Wednesday lower lift to a Tuesday, you're not going to be able to give as much effort, obviously, because you don't have as much recovery. Same thing if you move it forward. You might do a little bit better because you've had more distance in between, but that could be compromising your following squat day. Some people would rather just combine the two. Um, but I don't know. I understand that like people they come to me because they want someone that does this like it's everything to them, right? Like this is, all that I do to handle something like that. So they don't need to think about it. And maybe they're not necessarily thinking about, okay, what will happen to me if I move these? Like they'll just think, oh, I'll just move my deadlift day up a day. It's fine. And then they go and they have a complete shit day and it screws with them mentally, but they completely forget about the fact that they moved it up. You can't do that. You have to understand like there are repercussions to moving things around. Um, Whenever you change a split, it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust to whatever it is that you're doing. You're not just going to change your split and like you can't have the same expectations if you move a day. You know what I mean? If it's a low priority bench day, for example, let's say we're using that same Monday through Sunday example that I gave you, and in this case, their low priority bench day, I like to call it, would be on a Thursday. If they move that or have to skip that, I mean that is the day that you can skip of all the days. It is the least priority of all the days because anytime you're training on super high frequency, the value of each day kind of decreases, but you're still going to have 1 or 2 days that are going to be worth more than others, depending, right? If you have a very important bench day at the beginning of the week when you're supposed to be strong and take a big single or something, that day you probably don't want to skip it, so you want to move it somewhere where you're going to still be able to accomplish the goal of that day, whatever it is, right? Whether you're supposed to be strong or weak or what. So recovery days, lighter days, right? Those ones you can move them around a little bit more leeway. If you train with RPE, then using just like the inherent auto-regulatory nature of RPE is gonna take care of you. Stuff like that. That should pretty much keep you from overdoing it on those days if you stick to the RPE. I also have on here expectations. If you understand what you want from each day, then okay, this day, it's supposed to be a low priority day, so it's just be a recovery day. If I send it on a middle of the week day because I feel decent, I am compromising, maybe my lower rep ranges and my higher RPEs at the end of the week, right? That's something you need to understand. That's why I feel like if you're doing RPE, it's really important to do it with a coach. Um, I don't know many new lifters, especially that just have like this like perfect intuition where they're always gonna know how much to push and when to push and things like that. So you got to understand what the purpose of each day in the split is. Or I mean, you could just be really strict and just adhere to what you have written down. I mean, I'm pretty sure whoever designs your program, right, whether it's me or whoever, if there's any intelligent coach that's doing it, they're gonna have written things down that they can be explained and it will make sense. Looking at it on paper and even if you don't know what you're doing, which I mean, obviously most people get expert programming because they don't they don't know it themselves, you should be able to just follow it and it should take care of itself. But sometimes it helps, especially those people that like to think a little bit more. If they kind of have an overarching theme for that day or what to expect. I remember, um, a while back with a specific lifter, they would go into each session and they wouldn't understand. They would just kind of try to push it on every day, and then I would have to literally highlight each day, like color code it, like, okay, these days, high priority, right? These are high priority days. You're supposed to be strong these days. These days, low priority. You're going to be a little bit beat up. You're going to take what you have, especially, although you should always be taking what you have, keep it pushing. And then also, you need to understand, like, when changes are made due to maybe you feel that you'll get a better result on a certain split, or maybe your life is getting in the way and you have no choice now. Like, okay, I need to have this specific day off. I get less days to train or whatever. I need to combine bench with a lower or something. You got to understand that when changes are made, it is going to take time to adjust, and you just got to kind of accept it, and that it takes like about a week or two to reset, just to kind of even out your recovery, right? I've talked about this many times in the past. I actually recently sent this to someone, telling them, we are allotted a certain amount of recovery given I like to say, I think that it revolves around your rest days, right? Going back to that same split, Monday through Saturday, if you have that Sunday off, everything is going to kind of be built off of that rest day. That is the day where you're going to obviously be able to recharge the most because you're not going to be as active. Maybe sometimes on your low priority bench days, um, you're not really doing too much on that day, so you may be able to get your recovery can kind of catch up that day as well. Obviously, the space between lifts is going to be your best friend. But, whenever you move those rest days around, that is kind of like, think of it like you're driving your car, for 6 days straight, and then on that day, that one day when you're resting, you're parking it to refuel up, right? That's going to get you ready for the rest of the week. So, it takes some time to kind of get used to that cadence. I would say anytime when even if you're adding more rest days, but you're combining lists, now you're changing the dynamic of each day. You're changing like how much energy you're outputting on one day. You're doing more output on one day, to recharge for another day. So you gotta kind of understand that. You're not gonna come into the you're not gonna come into the lift. You're not gonna come into that day as fresh as you would because you're combining it. You know what I'm saying? Some people are very affected by combining lifts. Some people aren't. This is something to keep in mind when you are adjusting your split or moving things around. So, some of that was like pretty much the main takeaway, guys, is just moving your days around affects you a lot more than you think. I feel that the training split is not as respected as it needs to be. It's all about controlling variables, right? Whenever you have a bad day, right? Whenever you have a day that you don't, if you're having a good day, you're not even gonna think about it. You're just gonna maybe even take it for granted, which most of us do. But if you're having a bad day, you need to look at all of your variables, right? And if you're looking at all of your variables and you're just constantly moving your days around, it's very, very, very difficult to figure out what exactly is happening, where to pinpoint the problem and address it. If you're constantly changing your days around, constantly moving your split and things like that. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's always about managing those variables, your recovery, and all that. Your split literally dictates how your body is going to recover from what you're doing. Um, it starts, the broad picture is kind of the split, and then we get smaller, into like what are we doing day by day, and then what are we doing per lift, per workout, and then per set, reps, all that stuff, right? So it starts big on the split, literally is the foundation, and then it goes down from there. So. Yeah, guys, I hope you're able to take something away from this video. Just keeping up with my once a week post on social media, um, on YouTube, and if you did take something away from it, don't forget to drop a like. And if this gets enough likes, I don't know, 100 likes, 120 likes, something like that, I will do another split video where I'm actually gonna give you, I could give you like 3 sample splits that I personally like, um, and then I'll kind of go over like what to expect from each day. What are we looking to accomplish on each day, and then this can, like, if you work with me, you might understand. You're gonna literally look at this and be like, oh dang, like I didn't know that. I didn't know that this is the purpose of this day. And if you don't, if you're just somebody else out there that's looking to write your own split or whatever, it can kind of give you a little bit of a better understanding as to what you kind of want to do. Um, Granted, at the end of the day, there are so many variables. It is very difficult to just tell you guys, hey, this is the best split ever, because there is no best split. It's really just going to be whatever works for whoever. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one. Peace.